Well, hi people. We are back. Not to talk about MSG this time, but now that we are into 2025, I want to talk about the best of 2024, or I should say my favorite stuff of 2024. You may have other choices, so how can I call it the best? But here we are with individual songs, like songs overall, runs, individual shows. And I think I will just start with individual runs, even though there's nothing individual about a run. We'll start with my favorite runs because Mexico was the one that needed the most refreshing for me. And going back to the Mexico run in 2024, all the way back toward the beginning of the year, of course, there was the Chalk Dust Torture. And that may have ended up being the number one song of the year, possibly, for most people. I mean, that one was absolutely incredible. While there were many, many others, I could not even narrow it down to 10 once I get to my list of my favorite individual songs. A sign that 2024 was indeed a great year because I had trouble picking my favorite runs, although it looks like here I did not write down my favorite shows. What a major party foul. I think I can probably do that on the fly, though, perhaps. Maybe. How did I not write down my favorite shows? I guess I got caught up on runs and then individual songs and then songs that maybe didn't make the individual list. And then even things like Sense and Subtle Sounds in Cities that didn't make any list, but were awesome this year. And while they didn't get played a lot. So all that being said, 2024, I think, was a great year for the band. Now, still, I would think in the modern era, 2015, my favorite year. 2017, very strong. 2021, very strong. And then this year. So that would be the four. Top 13 also. So that would probably be the top five, I would think, since they come back in 2009. Phish are back. So let's get to these favorite runs. I think I threatened that like 2 minutes ago. All right, so Mexico certainly was in there. Now, while it wasn't my favorite run, it was number 3. This recent MSG run was in there. Deer Creek from the summer, Alpine Valley. And then the 5th and final one, Mansfield, I don't know. I don't think that would probably make people's favorite list. It was right at the beginning of the summer. Perhaps it was just the songs they were choosing to play. Sometimes that has a lot to do with it. They're just cracking off your favorite songs night after night as opposed to a bunch of duds that you're not really into. So MSG, Deer Creek, Mexico, Alpine, Mansfield. Maybe if I had to put them in order, DC, Mexico, Alpine, MSG, Mansfield. You know, they could alternate. Let's get to individual songs, though, right? So I mentioned the Chalk Dust in Mexico. That possibly could be number 1. I don't know if it is or not. There was also a Wave of Hope in Mexico. Wave of Hope, another song that, while it did get 1 on the list here. It's a strong year for a somewhat of a, not a new song anymore, but we're just always coming out with new songs, and everything still continues to feel new, even when it's not. So while I thought Mexico was a great run, those were 2 of the best, Wave of Hope and Chalk Dust. I don't have any dates associated with these. I'm sure you know them, like the Simple from Alpine. That's Simple that kicked off this Simple, another song that had a really strong year. The Wedge, one that's, been kind of quiet, a little bit dormant, most of the last decade, really, the Wedge. Every now and then it has a surprise, but I think it was kind of consistently strong this year, along with Simple. The Alpine one, though, simply taking the cake, some people's favorite of the year. The Tweezer in St. Louis, repeat the same thing, could have been your favorite. The Bethel AC/DC Bag, same thing. The Deer Creek Ghost. Those were the ones that seemed to be most people's. Chalk Dust, Simple, Tweezer, Ghost, AC/DC Bag. One of those 5 were likely your favorite of the year. They were very good, obviously. And I wouldn't argue about any of those. The only one that made the list twice is because I couldn't really separate which one I enjoyed more. Was the Bethel Bathtub Gin and the Grand Rapids Bathtub Gin. And then I do recall being like, well, this Bethel run wasn't all that great. A couple great songs does not a great run make or something like that. But boy, this was an outstanding gin, and the AC/DC Bag, maybe one of the songs of the summer. Perhaps I underrated Bethel yet again. I don't know what my hang-up is with Bethel. A couple summers ago, most people disagreed with me, like, whoa. Not that this is not that that's the intent here, to get everybody to agree. But when a lot of people strongly disagree, I think I must have missed something. I went back and tried that year, and I was like, no. Again, could be song selection. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I like Mansfield. You like Bethel. So where were we on the song list? Intermission. We will continue the song list after intermission. Woo, and we're back. So, if Bathtub Gin had a great year, a song that, look, again, I mentioned the top five. The Fuego from Mondegreen also could have been in your top five. One of the best songs of the year individually, the Mondegreen performance, as well as overall consistently. I think Fuego probably took the gold medal as the number one song of the year. Many others in contention. That's the crazy thing, really. Even something like What's Going Through Your Mind, that I'm probably didn't even make it on this page anywhere, had a pretty strong year. So the Mondegreen from Fuego, the Piper at Albany. I think the Albany night, actually, the night one, the Phil night, aside from all the Phil stuff, they just played so many great 2024 songs that night that the night one of Albany, really, I'll get on to my favorite shows. But the Piper from Albany, one of my favorites. And then the only Piper making the list, St. Louis Piper, was also very strong. But I went with the Albany Piper. That most events aren't playing. That was just played there at MSG. I've listened to that like 4 times already. So if that had been something played this summer, that would have been on my most listened to of the year list. And then the Soul Planet from Deer Creek, perhaps my most listened to. Now, yeah, I always skip the first 7 or 8 minutes or something like that. And then the Ruby Waves just here recently at Madison Square Garden, yet another one. So as you see, the Mexico run had some year, like Jam of the Year candidates, summer, sprinkled all throughout the summer. In my opinion, at least Albany had some great moments. And then MSG. So consistently throughout the year, they were delivering the goods. And then, so let's get, now that we've gotten through those, the Ruby Waves finishing the list, Soul Planet and Ruby Waves. Those weren't really in any order, though, If I can recap here quickly. Hit that vape a couple times. Now my nose is running. What is that? It should be a sign. I'm too cool for vapes. I'm allergic to them, in fact. All right, let's calm down. I'm not too cool for anything. So the Wave of Hope and Chalk Dust for Mexico. I'm not going to go through the whole list again. You guys kind of get the songs. I know there was the intermission, threw things off. The Bethel Bag was big. Bathtub Gin at Grand Rapids and Bethel. The Mondegreen, Fuego. The Simple, the Ghost, the Tweezer. All mentioned. So let's get to my favorite shows. Night 3 at Deer Creek. I was there. Maybe I'm biased. I don't think so. It seems like a lot of people, almost everybody, loved Night 3 at Deer Creek. And for many, it was their favorite show of the summer as well. Night 1 of St. Louis actually making my list. Albany, the Phil show, like I mentioned. The first show at Mondegreen, another one. One of the nights at Alpine. And then, I kind of flamed out on my favorite shows. I got stuck on the favorite runs list. And then the favorite songs list. And then the songs that maybe didn't have like an individual performance, but I wrote down 13 or 14 of my favorite individual songs. And then ones that didn't necessarily make that list, but they were all consistently right there, outside of the top 15. Theme from the Bottom, Oblivion, My Friend. I don't know how it's become a certified jam vehicle all of a sudden, but it is. Wolfman's Brother, of course, yet again. Sand. And Life Saving Gun sneaking its way onto the list. I thought that one was really good just about every time they played it, all the way through MSG here. Split Open and Meld and Hood, yet again. 2024, songs like that still on the list of some of their best stuff. Kill Devil Falls and Down with Disease, again, consistently good. Maybe didn't necessarily, some people might have had a Kill Devil Falls crack in their top 15. There was several strong ones. Bethel, yet again. Then I think I already mentioned Sense and Subtle Sounds and Cities. Sense Cities. All right, so, 7 or 8 shows that would be in the argument for my favorite. Anywhere from 12 to 20 songs that would have been into my individual song of the year. Like, that was the best. If you're going to you only can listen to one song all year. It's the Mexico Chalk Dust, or it's the Alpine Simple, the DC Ghost, something like that, If you got time for an entire run, maybe the DC run. Maybe these 4 nights at MSG. Maybe Alpine. Maybe Mansfield. Maybe Bethel for you. You going to listen to every theme from the bottom? You should. You going to listen to every Kill Devil Falls and Melt? Again, you probably should. Seems like there's a trend there. The songs that they play the most consistently, get the most stage time, tend to be some of the best. All right, I'm leaving Blaze On and No Men and No Man's Land out of the video, but they actually are pretty solid sometimes. Wolfman's, of course. Every year. I do this list every year. It's always going to be Wolfman, Sand, Hood, Melt, Stash. Didn't even mention Stash at this point. So indeed, 2024 was a very strong year for the Phish. And thank you all for tuning in throughout the year. From Mexico, through the summer, through Albany, and now the MSG run, bringing it back up. All the Sphere. Didn't even really mention anything from the Sphere. Taste, how about that? The pillow jets from the Sphere. So I'm acting like that didn't even happen. There was some amazing, incredibly visually stunning things going on there. And you see the other stuff that's been tried to pull off at the Sphere. The only thing that even maybe came close was if you saw one half of one Dead and Company show, it was pretty cool. The UFC did a pretty cool night, but they couldn't even put in a whole 6 or 7 hours. They just cut it in half. They were like, well, the first half of the show, we're not even going to really try. So credit to Phish for doing 4 original nights there. That had to be the run of the year. What am I talking about? I don't know how I almost left the Sphere off the list. It was almost its own thing. Taste, man. Taste has always been pretty solid, but certainly rejuvenated at that point, right? And Pillow Jets, while not my favorite song, I would say that one at the Sphere, and then this recent one here in MSG. Maybe it needs a whole thing, What's going through your mind? My mind, his mind. What's going through your butt? It needed the backing vocals for sure. Like the opening to that song, the sort of almost like a little hip hoppy or something, It's like, or not even hip hop. It's like some Springsteen rock or something, But then when he gets to, I guess, the chorus, I suppose, I don't even know what the hell, how that song's written. There's just that one part that Trey has trouble singing. It's like, well, you wrote it. And you didn't even write it 20 years ago. It's new. And then, of course, he nails the mind. Boom. Final thoughts on the New Year's Eve thing. I still don't like it. It's that Wolfman's Brothers bit that really got me, man. It just killed me right there. I don't know why I'm still talking about that. That could be, I'm sure somebody, if you've made it this far, you're like, hey, you're still talking about it. It left an impression. It must have been good. That's not how it works. The Pillow Jets was awesome, as I just mentioned. And then we have follow that up with some and the combination going all the way leading up to it in like 7 videos. I was just like, I hope there's not just a bunch of dancers. And then this wolf character shows up again. I knew it was the wolf before the countdown. Then you hear the voice at the countdown. It's like, oh no, another New Year's Eve ruined. All right, okay, now I'm really exaggerating, but shout out to that woman. She, I'm sure she's extremely cool. If Trey's working with her every year, she must be cool. I'm just having fun over here. Those dance moves, though, it looks like something like Will Ferrell would do in a movie. Okay. Boom, we're out of here. Love you guys. The Sphere was good.